blog entry 73 from December 1st of 2022. So this blog entry, I was still in Nanaimo, and it was really interesting feeling the different aspects that Krishna had me purifying on in thinking about the idea of sannyas, because it was still Krishna at night talking about sannyas and Swamiji during the day, and it would still push my understanding and my limitations to help me be more open and to break down my material expectations and what my mind had decided it would be like. So this journal entry, I found myself struggling with the idea that I had assumed there would be like a certain moment of reconnection before I would do the sannyas thing and put on the orange clothes. So like I would have a moment where everything kind of shifted and felt different before, right? So then I would have the trust of that and the experience of that to help relax and everything else. And then I would know for sure that that was the time, because it's hard to tell in that kind of way. So there would be I was struggling with that idea and not knowing exactly when. But Krishna would kept reminding me that's not how it works. That's not really his way for people when they connect. So if it's surrender first, the massive inner commitment of you're going to do his work, that you're going to renounce the material, you're going to just do Krishna seva and follow where he leads you and let him take care of you in that kind of way. And then after that massive inner commitment, everything else unfolds, but after that. And it takes about a month. Not that Krishna roughs you up or nothing, but it takes about a month for you to find your flow with that. And it can take several months before you feel the flow of the angels come in and they say, this is going to happen. And then you flow with that. Because it may have some aspect of it that the material residue left of you is not too excited to do. And so if you disrupt the flow of where you're meant to be in your service of Krishna and where Krishna wants you, and if you start to fight that, then the flow starts to stop. It's really amazing how it works. So there's a steady pressure to continue to grow as you're on the path of sannyas and as you're doing that. And there's a flow with it. And you have to stay in that flow and you have to keep pleasing Krishna. And you can't really run amok and do whatever you want. They'll pull the plug and lights out. But people don't really talk about it that way, which is really interesting. Yeah, it's been really intriguing. Another thing I was struggling with at the time of this blog post was my mind was trying to categorize it. And it's really hard for us to understand a lot of spiritual experiences because our mind is material. So our mind is always trying to measure spiritual growth and where we're at spiritually in a material way because the mind is made of material energy. And that's just what it has to work from. So it's really challenging and the mind will try and do that. But again, it won't work. So then what that does is that makes it even more of a step into your growing your faith and growing your understanding of the flow and the love of Krishna and how that works and the trusting and taking those bigger leaps and those bigger steps as you move forward. I was talking to a friend of mine at this same time. I was doing this blog post years ago and it was really interesting. I was living in my little van and I was doing just enough material work to support myself, and then the rest of the time I was spending doing spiritual work, reading scriptures, making music, going to spiritual places, meditating with Krishna, things like that. And my friend was like, it seems like you're already doing it. And I didn't really see it that way, and I didn't really understand completely what my friend meant at the time, but it was really interesting that was his perspective of it too, I just coming from such a different spot. But yeah, it's really interesting how the deep inner surrender goes first. And then there's a period of time that really makes you think that might have been the worst decision you ever made in your life. And then after that month or so goes by, you start finding your way on the path into the surrendered like selfless service, Krishna sannyas path. And it's been really interesting. Yeah. Well, that's it for today. And thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you have a chance, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's awesome. And that's it. Bye-bye.